Hi YouTube, this is Leo the Tiger. Thank you for tuning into my channel. The primary focus of my channel will continue to be the musical scores I've written with the program MuseScore. So that will still be the main focus. But my channel is really all about all the different things that I have interests in. It's why you've seen me play old versions of Wheel of Fortune, mostly for the NES, using the emulator Virtua NES. I've also done a playthrough of a game called Bible Buffet. However, I'm somebody that likes board games more than I like video games. So because of this, back when I had a second channel called VGT Portfolio Reviewer, based on a college project that I did, which was a video game review show, I started doing explanations of board games. They were always my personal favorite board games, even though there are other people that do board game explanations that are way, way better than me. Triple S Games is one. Norm from the Board Game Museum, he's another one. Shout out to those guys. If you haven't subscribed to those channels, check them out. And please be sure to subscribe to my channel too. Ring the bell. Give me some likes. Good feedback is always appreciated. I decided because of that I'm going to start from scratch and do at least one board game review based on games I'd like to play. This one is the Dick Tracy Game, made by University Games. It is for 2 to 6 players, ages 8 to adult. I know the box is kind of worn, but I got this used from a store that sells and trades a bunch of things. Here's our board. The object of the game is to be the player with the most points after all the criminals have been deposited in prison. I'm going to shuffle the weapon and crime cards up a little bit. And I actually forgot to take one out. Sorry about that. Here are all the different criminals you'll be trying to capture. We have Pruneface, we have Influence, the Blank, Big Boy Caprice, Little Face, Numbers, Flat Top, Lips Manless, and Itchy. And anybody who has played the NES game or Sega Mega Drive, Genesis versions of Dick Tracy, you'll find these same characters again. But for the purposes of this board game, we have these little packets here, and each criminal is going to randomly assign, or rather is going to randomly be assigned one crime card and one weapon. The crimes you can do, you have to be careful because you can lose points if it turns out your crime is a false arrest or an ambush. But you can gain points when you deposit the criminals in jail if it's an actual crime. For example, we have income tax evasion, we have breaking and entering, we have a pickpocket. That's a weapon card, sorry about that. Felony assault, arson, bank robbery, gambling, hit and run, kidnapping, hit, bootlegging, and there's the income tax evasion again. The weapons, which you can also find on the spinner here. We have machine gun, bath and bomb, a regular gun, just a fist, and then brass knuckles. When fighting a criminal, a fist does not beat anything. A brass knuckles will beat a fist, however. Gun beats brass knuckles, machine gun beats a gun, bath beats a machine gun, and a bomb beats a bath. So we'll be talking about more of those in a little bit. What I'm now going to do is shuffle the crime and the weapon cards to the best of my ability, and then assign one to each of these packets. When doing this, you always have the crime card and weapon card face down, like so, but you put the criminal on top so you can still see him in the picture. So here's Itchy, and that's where he's going to go. And I'm going to do the same thing for the rest of them, so this might take me a moment. I don't think the rules state that you have to put them exactly where they go, but I'm going to put them according to where they are on the board. So prune face goes there. Itchy is at the apartments, incidentally. Prune face is at City Hall. Here's Influence, he's at Mike's Diner. The Blank, he's at the Car Barn. Big Boy, he's at the Southside Warehouse. Big Boy is the final boss in the NES video game adaptation of Dick Tracy. And of course, the object, if you've ever played that game, the object is to arrest the criminals. But you cannot make a false arrest, just like you cannot do in this war game. Littleface, he's at the 7th Street Garage. Numbers is at the Opera House. These don't fit all that well, sorry about that. We have Flat Top, who's outside of Dick Tracy's office. And then finally we have Liv Mandelin, and he's at the Club Reds, which is probably where you'd usually find him if you were actually dealing with him. We have our green and yellow tokens, those are our players. The game starts by rolling the die to see who goes first. That would be green. So you roll the die, and then you start, and then starting from the keyhole, you can move in any direction. But you can only move one direction. If you land on one of these gray squares, then your turn ends. However, rolling 4 spaces allows him to do the subway, or the Dick Tracy logo here. Let's say he decides to do the subway. When you do the subway, your turn ends, but you get to cross over to the next space diagonally over, a little bit like the game of Clue when you take a secret passage. So from the keyhole, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You don't have to land in a keyhole by exact count. If you have moves left, you can stop. Because when you land on a or pass a keyhole, you decide if you want to fight a criminal. If you want to fight a criminal, you first have to look and see who it is. In this case, it's a Big Boy. And you look and see what the weapon is. It's a bomb. A bomb beats a bath, as I said. Bath beats machine gun, and so on down the line. So, Yellow decides not to fight him because the odds don't favor that. Whenever you do fight a criminal, you spin the spinner here. If your weapon beats the criminal's weapon, you capture them and you can take them to jail. You don't actually put them in jail, however, until you land on this keyhole here. If you lose the battle, they stay where they are, you go to the hospital, and you lose a turn unless you have a quick healer card. And let me show you some of those cards now. Let's say green rolls a 1 and lands on this picture here that has the Dick Tracy silhouette. You draw a card with Dick Tracy on it, and you can play it immediately, or you can save it for future use. Green got a Bomb Squad card. There's another card that says Escape the Bath. If you have one of these cards, you can win a battle against a criminal without having to spin the spinner. Let me show you some of these other cards real quick. Here's the Escape the Bath card. Here's a card that says Squad card takes your criminals to jail. Oops, sorry about that. A squad card takes your criminal to jail. You can stay on the square and you don't have to go to the keyhole. Otherwise, you have to land on the police keyhole when you do it. Deposit a criminal prison. We have the prisoner exchange, where if you have a criminal in your possession but he's not in jail yet, you can swap it with another player who has a criminal. We have prisoner escapes from player to your right. The roller can pick somebody from their right who escapes. That's assuming they're not in jail yet. If they escape jail, they would just or rather escape the player, they would just go back to where they are. We have the quick healer. This allows you to get out of the hospital but without losing a turn. And then we have the infamous jailbreak card, where two criminals escape from jail. They have to be in jail. If that happens, you disregard the previous crime cards and weapon cards. Usually you would draw new cards and weapon cards, and they would go back into the packet, and the criminal would go back to their location. So let's say we're playing the game, and yellow lands on the blank. It's a machine gun, and he decides to spin the spinner. Let me try to get the spinner into the camera here. So you spin. Brass Knuckles does not beat a machine gun, however, so he would go to the hospital and lose a turn, and would have to, and the criminal would go back. Let's say Green is playing and he decides to use the Bomb Squad card. At that point, it goes back to the bottom of the deck, and he now has control of numbers. He can use this card because the weapon was a bomb and he didn't have to spin the spinner. Whenever you land on the police station keyhole, that's when you deposit a criminal in jail. So we would put the criminal by the police station. Let me move that around. There we go. Numbers is in jail now. Weapon was a bomb, of course. Bank robbery was the crime, so that's 75 points for Green. And then we return the weapon card to the bottom of the stack. So let's say Yellow gets out, he's playing the game, and he tries to fight Influence. He would look to see what the weapon is. That's Brass Knuckles, so he thought, okay, I can spin. And he got a bomb. So he would now have control of Influence, but again, he would have to land on the keyhole like so in order to actually score points for putting the criminal in prison. Influence did a hit. He didn't do a hit and run, just a hit. So that's 100 points for Yellow. And incidentally, if you were to spin the spinner and it matches the weapon that's on the card, that's a tie. However, Dick Tracy wins all ties, so you would have control of the prisoner by that point. The game continues until all of the criminals are in prison without a jailbreak. You add up the points you scored for all crimes. You subtract points if there was a false arrest or ambush. Here's the ambush card, for example, that loses you 25 points. The false arrest, which was actually hiding in there somewhere, it also subtracts points from your score. Add up all the points, though. After you reach the police station, all criminals have to be in jail, and all players actually have to go back to the police station, because it says here, once a player reaches the police station after all criminals are captured, all players must return to the police station, unless a jailbreak happens or until the last player arrives. Whoever has the most points wins the game and is hailed as the best detective in the city. That, folks, is how you play the Dick Tracy game. If you like this video, please be sure to subscribe, ring the bell so you don't miss any future updates. As I said, the musical scores I write with MuseScore, that will continue to be my primary focus, because I know that's really what everybody has been subscribing for. But I wanted to have a little variety to this channel, because variety is the spice of life, after all. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.